World of Tanks, Tier 8 tank destroyers with light armor. These are the lightly armored tank destroyers, Tier 8 World of Tanks. And the reason why I'm looking at them is because I'm playing Frontline. I'm trying to figure out what are the best tanks in the game. So in terms of penetration, most of them do 250 and above. And if you do 250 and above, you can penetrate almost anything, although a few are exceptional. There's a few autoloaders and there's a few high damage guns. And you've got a few with turrets like the Scorpion G. So, which tanks are the best in the game? The STRV and the UDIS have very high penetration, high skill level, good camouflage. The ISU 152 and the ISU 152K, high damage, excellent penetration. Scorpion G has a turret, it's fast, easy to play, good dispersion, all around it's a good tank. The T-103 has the best armor of all the lightly armored tank destroyers. And the G-SOR 1008 is an autoloader, but it's low penetration. And I brought up the SMV CC67 for comparison. So which ones do I recommend? Definitely Scorpion G. A lot of people play it. It's one of the most popular tanks in the game. I like to play, I play the SU-130 PM because it's kind of easy. But if you want to do a lot of damage, you want to bring in these ISU-152s in the Russian tech tree. They do a lot of damage, high penetration. They're all going to do decent penetration. If you play an STRV or an UDIS, a little bit more difficult to play because you have to go into the sniper mode. But the sniper aim is absolutely amazing. You can just auto-aim on anything, especially with the gold rounds, and you just destroy everything. The Rheinmetall Borsig has low penetration but high damage. So then we go through, we look at the gold rounds. Because if you're playing in Frontline, a lot of heavily armored tanks, you're going to want to have high penetration. For the Scorpion G, it goes up to 311, which is really good. This vehicle's 307, which is also very good, but I know we're going to see higher numbers. The Kananen Jagdpanzer, it's fast, but it's can be a pain to maneuver it. 330 for penetration with the gold rounds. And that is a German tank. The ISU 152, 329 with the gold rounds. That is unbelievable. That's going to be a tank to do a lot of damage. The ISU 152K. I have good games when I play it. The G-SOR, you know, it's a decent tank, but you're going to take damage. With the gold rounds, 325. So if you're going to play this in Frontline, with the regular rounds, the rounds are not high enough penetration. If you bring in the gold rounds, you're going to have amazing games with that G-SOR as long as you stay away from the enemy. This is the Kananen Jagd Panzer. There's two of them. Has low penetration, only 250 with the gold rounds, while the 105 has 330 with the gold rounds. So that, make sure you get the right one. SU-130 PM was a decent tank. It's got 322 penetration with the gold rounds. I often don't play with the gold rounds. However, you know, it's a different story now because there's so many heavily armored tanks out there that you pretty much have to use gold rounds. This one is 310, which is very good. Now keep in mind, once you get into 300, you can penetrate anything in Tier 8. And you can penetrate almost anything in the game. $330 for the STRV. It's still going to be the same tanks. There was a big improvement with the G-SOR. And I know that with the UDIS you're going to get the high penetration because it's essentially an STRV. It just looks a little different. And there are some new tanks that I don't have, so I can't comment on them. 325, that's amazing. It looks like with the gold rounds you can penetrate almost anything in the game. There's only a few tanks that have armor over 325. This one you want to keep the regular rounds, which is a charioteer, which is still pretty good. It's possible that I may have switched something, but I don't remember. This one's 340. This is even better, the SU-101. And I know the armor is good because I've played the tank before, and I've bounced a lot with it. So it looks like the SU-101 is the best penetration. The ISU-152 is 292. That's still pretty good. Looks like the 152K is going to end up being the better tank. Only got 2 more left. The Rheinmetall Borsig, I don't expect anything. 334, wow. With 750 damage. And then we don't got to worry about that SMV. So how did it change? It ends up that the SU-101 is the highest penetration tank. So the ISU-152 is still good for high damage. With the gold rounds, the Rheinmetall Borsig is good with the high pen rounds. The STRV and the UDES, always a good choice. All the vehicles do well, except for the Kanan and Jagdpanzer. With the gold rounds, it really doesn't make it good enough. But with the rest of them, the charioteer is a little down. So that's basically it. You want to do high damage. You want the ISU 152K or the Rheinmetall Borsig. If you want a tank that's easy to play, you would play the Scorpion G. If you want a little bit of armor, you're going to play the T103 and the G-Sword because it does have a little bit of turret armor, which isn't going to matter that much. And you want the highest penetration, you go with the SU-101. Okay, I like the AMX CDI. I think it's easy to play, which is why I play it a lot. But usually when I play Frontline, I take out the Scorpion G. And if I think I need to do a lot of damage, I would take out the ISU 152K. So those are going to be the 2 big tanks. And if I don't have the Scorpion G, I often take out the SU 130 PM because it's kind of easy to play. It's got a turret on it. A lot of these other vehicles don't have a turret. So that's a good option. Even though the turret doesn't go all the way around, it's easier to play. Even though it's rear mounted, that could make it a little bit more difficult. The issue with the T103 is it's going to be a little slow. In terms of like aiming time, they're all pretty good. 1.78 is amazing. 1.49 is really good. It says it's better than the STRV. And the dispersion 0.27, that's amazing. All of these have good dispersion. Even 0.38 for the Rheinmetall Borsig, that's really good. That's like average or better. It looks like this AMX CDA with the aim time and the low dispersion. I wonder if it's because of what I've got configured. You know, all I have is this gun laying drive. That's not much. And the vents. That's not going to help the dispersion. So the AMX CDA, there's a lot of people that say they do not like it. But I always loved it. And I think that this might be one of the tanks you want to look at. Even though, you know, it's a premium tank, you're not going to be able to find it so easily. But it looks like it's got pretty good stats. I highly recommend it. Okay, the last thing we want to look at is the autoloaders. Is it not loading up? I'm sorry that my computer is slow. The autoloaders are the G-Sword 1008. The SMV is an autoloader, but it's not a light armored tank. Yeah, I would definitely go with the GSOR 1008 for the autoloader. It has 4 shots, which means you could do 1280 with 1 clip. With the gold rounds, the penetration's 321. You know what? That might be the killer tank. I got to give that a shot. That might be the one. I'm going to have to give that more attention. In fact, I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to take a look at this vehicle, how it's configured. It's not configured with aiming. I could add 2 more options to make it aim better. But what you really want to do is make sure you got lots of gold rounds on this when you're playing frontline. I'm going to put all gold rounds. You do want some HE rounds because when you go to the final objective, you get more damage if you fire HE rounds. And it's rare you're going to be able to fire 3 or 4. This could do 1200. This could take out like a third of the final objective with 1 clip with HE rounds. Even more than maybe half. This could take out half of a final objective with 1 clip with HE rounds. Okay, so that's my review of World of Tanks. Tier 8 lightly armored tank destroyers with a special focus on frontline. If you have any questions or comments, please post below.